So she was sitting on my back while I was doing push-ups. And then when I got done, she started crying. And I was like, what's wrong? She's like, I don't want to go next. I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't want you to sit on me. I was like, dude, I'm not going to sit. I was like, that was just for me.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That is the podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I'm going to be one of your co-hosts.
And I'm your other co-host who may or may not be the killer. Distance.
Tonight is the Metacast movie show about Dark Crimes. Dark Crimes is a 2016 thriller. It is directed by Alexandros Arvanas and has a screenplay by Jeremy Brock. It's based on an article, True Crime, by David Gran.
It stars Jim Carrey, Martin Kasokas, and Charlotte Gainsborough.
The budget for this movie looks like about $4.6 million with a limited box office take of around 21,000.
The tomato meter rating is 0% with an audience score of 30%.
This was originally released for film festivals under the title True Crimes. This is based on an article written by David Gran. It is called True Crime, a Postmodern Murder Mystery. The story follows a detective who finds some similarities between a cold case murder and a popular novel. This movie, like, I've realized recently that I don't think I'm very good at judging movies, because I thought this was great. I the entire time was really I know I can't do this with a straight face. God damn it. Like I made that 3 words into that. I really hated this. I do want to
you had me convinced. I seriously thought you liked it.
No, I tried, and I was very close to cracking up there. So I mean I want to be nice, because again, it's like, this is someone's art, you know, like I don't want to, like, I'm not just gonna shit on it, but at the same time, like, while watching it, I was not at all engaged. No part of me wanted to continue watching this. If I wasn't doing it for a podcast to specifically review it, I would not have made it more than probably 10 minutes into this movie. I want to find good things from it. I mean, I do think Jim Carrey is a great actor. I do think that he normally does good work. His role in this wasn't horrible, but I was not at all impressed with his acting in this either, even though, I mean, it does show it is different than his normal role, but I don't think it was at all great. All in all, I mean, really, I was just very underwhelmed. I did not think there was much about it that was good. I think for a thriller or mystery movie, it didn't really have much of either. And honestly, yeah, I was not at all interested the entire time. So yeah, obviously to give it some sort of verdict, I have to give it a no. I could not. I feel like if you want to see this movie, you know what you're looking for already. If you are looking for a review of this movie, you're like, I want to steer you clear of this, because no, I don't think it's worth your time. What about you?
Wow. So it's funny. Backstory. Yesterday when Ty watched this, he sent me a text and it said, "Oh my God," and 3 separate bubbles. And that was ambiguous enough that when he said that, I thought he meant, "Oh my God, this movie is shit." But just now when he tried to sell liking it, I was like, oh shit, maybe he meant that, like, this is the most amazing piece of work I've ever seen. So here's kind of my take on the movie, and this is going to be a really interesting conversation tonight, because the way that I see this movie is, I think people don't like it because of the subject matter. A lot of what happens is hard to watch. There's one scene in particular that I found very disturbing, and I was uncomfortable through several parts of the film. But I really wanted the plot to unfold. I actually found myself wondering what was going to happen. It's like playing poker with someone that's never played before when you're experienced. What they do doesn't make sense, and it's unpredictable. And to me, it was almost like watching a movie that someone who didn't know exactly how to write a plot wrote. And that's the thing that I found sort of engrossing or like almost enamoring about the film. And like
That's interesting. Okay.
we did an episode with our friend Craig about a movie called Greasy Strangler, and I sold for like a half hour that I loved it, and it was all bullshit. And I really went all the way with that one, but I sincerely I didn't hate this movie, and I think that it's more the themes that they put you in touch with something that's very uncomfortable for any of us to think about. And for me, recognizing that you may turn it off 90 seconds into the movie. You can watch it on Amazon Prime right now for free with commercials.
Yes.
Which, by the way, makes the movie hilarious if you try it.
So yeah, there are some great commercial cuts whenever you watch it that way. It's pretty funny.
If you just last the 90 seconds to decide you don't want to see it, my answer for this one is yes. I think you should.
I do. So in all fairness, before we get into, before we bring Spoiler Terry out and actually get into like the details of the movie, before we end this section, I do want to say, I think that those are good points. However, the problems I had with this movie had absolutely nothing to do with the subject matter. I feel like it had a lot to do with the quality, like the writing, a lot of the acting, a lot of the dialogue. That's where my problems were. I'm fine with movies that make me feel uncomfortable. Some of the ones that we've done that I've loved, like Killing a Sacred Deer, so some of the other movies that I think make you feel very uncomfortable, but this,
Midsommar, which is a traumatic memory for me, by the way.
Yeah, this though definitely for me was not at all the subject matter, just in my opinion, the quality of the movie. But yeah, are you ready to you ready for Spoiler Terry to ruin this?
Come on out, Terry, you piece of shit.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Yeah, so I mean, I do get what you're saying there. There is definitely. I like, I think, who was it, Lee or no, the big dog said in chat, difficult film to watch, which I agree for multiple reasons. I mean, it is, like you're saying, it does deal with difficult, subject matter. It is overly dark. I mean, like almost like that's kind of the funny thing about this is like for a Jim Carrey role playing serious, it is almost like on the nose comedically, like let's make this as dark as possible, call the movie Dark Crimes. Like there is part of it that is just kind of like, all right, where like can we take the tongue out of the cheek a little bit and try to, but with that being said, like so there is a lot of subject matter that is rough. Like you were saying, the intro to the movie is a very visually striking scene that is pretty shocking. But with that being said, I need to stop. Another thing, I need to stop saying well done. And with that being said, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I now need a segue.
You should just say, now that I done said it.
Now that I done said it, the intro I think was horrible. It did nothing to set up anything for the movie other than a little bit of tone. It's like so much of the movie, I felt like I missed something. Like I did not, all of the shit that was supposed to be background between like Tadek and Gregor and all of that, like there was a lot of tension there that I don't feel like the movie set up well at all. All the stuff between like Tadek and his wife, how that was just kind of like a mystery relationship for a lot of the movie. Like I feel like it was a conscious decision that the creators made to do it that way, and I don't think it landed well for me. For me, I more felt like I was like missing something rather than like in a mystery that was like, oh well, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call the movie like a thriller or a mystery, honestly, because at the end of the movie, I wasn't like, oh shit, that's crazy. I was like, I should have fucking known. Like was really where I got to with that. And Martin Kasokas, I guess is how you say his name, because I looked it up. There are several pronunciations say it like that. And I was like, there's no way it's said that way. But one of the things that attracted me to this movie is, have you seen the series called Into the Badlands?
Into the Badlands. I have not. No.
Dude, that role was made for him. He plays a character named Quinn, who is a lord. I forget what they called him. Baron. He's a baron in this weird kind of like post-apocalyptic place. It's not Earth. It's some like alternate place. I think it's based on someone's writing from some book, like an old like fantasy piece. But that role was made for him because he does this. And that's the thing, though. I think Martin Kosokas, I think he did a good job in this movie. A lot of people read it, I think, as cheesy.
Yeah.
But you wanted to slap the guy in the face throughout the entire film. Like everything that came out of his mouth, every look that he gave, every remark that he made, all of his ridiculous nihilism, cynicism, and his kind of postmodern epistemological thing about like everything being nothing being real and all that kind of shit, which is funny because I didn't realize that postmodern was a subtitle of the original work.
Yeah.
All of like the weird like dumbass like shit that he says, like it makes me want to slap the shit out of him. And it's like this over the top, super heavy handed kind of dark. But the thing is that's kind of his acting style when he does a villain. Yeah. So if you haven't, dude, seriously, like Into the Badlands, I don't watch a lot of series, but that is one of my favorites. The first season's fantastic. It is some of the best martial arts action you will see in any series ever. Like the people that do the choreography, they know what they're doing. But yeah, but that really is his style, like of acting. And I liked him in the villain role. I like the way that he makes the audience just so disgusted with everything about him. Like you just want to smack the shit out of him at every moment in the film.
I liked him. I think that it was the writing. I don't think that he had a lot to work with. I don't think that his performance, I mean, same thing with Carrie really in this. I don't think there was the performances that I had a problem with. It was just like the story, the dialogue, the scenes they were in. It was just like, I do feel like all the actors were doing the best with what they were given. I do feel like, yeah, like watching it, I do get what you're saying. He portrayed the role well. He was unlikable, but I was not at all engaged in disliking the character. You know, it was almost like, yeah.
He wasn't like Joaquin Phoenix's Commodus in Gladiator.
Yes,
that is my example always of that is one of the best villain roles anyone has ever done.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's do you remember when we were asking, once again I'm mentioning our friend Craig, do you remember this is completely off subject of this movie, but we were asking about which movie is the Ridley Scott movie? Is it Alien?
Yeah.
Or Blade Runner? And he was like Gladiator. I was like, you fucking asshole. Like I don't even think he meant that. I think he was just being that way on purpose.
Of course. Yeah. But I do think like you're saying, the character development in a lot of it is just missing. I do think that you can make a character unlikable with no development. You could just make like a short like TikTok, you know, literally that has an unlikable character just because of like their voice or some way they act or something. But that doesn't mean that it's actually like a character that is developed well or anything like that. And that is what I think that remind me his last name again. I'm gonna put it. It's not Suskus. It's Kosokas. Thank you. Like that is what I feel like he did. Is like, yeah, he's great at portraying unlikable, but as far as like there actually being well written and well developed character there, I missed it. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say that WWE writes a better villain character than they did. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do have better development with their characters.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's unfair because they get years to develop their characers, you know, or like or seasons or whatever.
They get a very long time.
There's a reason why the character development in the Marvel movies feels so great. It's because it happens over the course of a decade, literally, not just one movie. Yeah.
They've got forever in movie terms to do that.
Yeah.
And you know, like okay, this is silly. But one of the major problems I have with this movie, what the fuck is that accent that Jim Carrey is doing? What is that?
I have that in my notes here. There were scenes where it was Russian, and then there were scenes where it was Irish. Like there were certain lines. It was like, is he Irish now? I'm not.
Like, Yeah, like am I watching Peaky Blinders right now? Like what is going on? Like there were several scenes where I was like,
Yeah.
and I didn't really get it, but I think that that okay, a lot of the time okay, let's compare notes briefly. You tell me what you hated the most about this movie, and I'm gonna tell you what I liked the most.
Okay.
Or we can even switch if you'd like.
The thing that I hated the most, I don't know how to be specific about it. There was a general tone of just awkwardness, and I don't think it was constructed awkwardness. I don't think it was like, I don't, like I think there are a lot of movies. I think you brought it up, Greasy Strangler. I think that does a very good job of constructing awkward and making you feel. I feel like a lot of this was, and you touched on it when it was like, oh, it's almost like playing poker with someone who doesn't necessarily know how to play poker. I don't know. I probably should have done a little more due diligence and looked into the filmmaking history of Alexandros Arvanas, and I don't know how much experience a lot of the people on set had. I don't know if Jim Carrey was the only one with years and years and years of experience, and maybe Martin Kasakas coming in. Like I know that some of those actors, and even Charlotte Gainsbourg, I guess, has been a lot of stuff too. But as far as just the entire crew in general and the entire like editing, like I just get a feeling when watching the movie that it was not the air that I get. The aesthetic of it, yeah, everything was just awkward, did not feel put together well, and while watching it, did not keep me engaged because I felt more just kind of disinterested by the general tone of everything. The dialogue was a lot of that, and that also I don't know if came from the accents and possibly people not speaking English as their first language, and that causing the dialogue to be a slightly more awkward. But yeah, a lot of it though was just the tone was very off-putting as far as like that feeling.
Well, it looks like Martin Kasokas has been doing TV for a long time, bro. He was in an episode of Hercules: The Legendary Journeys with Kevin Sorbo in 1996.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay.
Now that we're talking about, he was in Farscape, which is a great series in my opinion.
Yes.
The
definitely.
Beastmaster TV series. He was in a lot of stuff. Do you remember him in Triple X?
No. The original.
The guy that, yeah, with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
The guy that goes, so we decide to create Anarchy 99. Now we do what we want, whenever we want. That was him.
I did not know that was the same guy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's had a lot of experience too then, but.
He was in Return of the King. He plays Celeborn. I don't know who that is. I mean, but there's some movie makers like, okay, if Robert De Niro is in a movie, I think no matter who the director is, they're going to ask De Niro for some guidance.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he's someone that's been in the business for so long. And people would do that with Clint Eastwood if he didn't direct all of his movies. But there's a reason why Eastwood directs all of his movies. Mm-hmm. Even Ben Affleck is a guy that, depending upon the film, I think people might kind of look to him a little bit. And I would think that Jim Carrey would be one of those people too.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I don't know, and because like the thing that you were saying about it being like over the top dark, I kind of see where you're coming from, because it's almost like when Miley Cyrus decided to go crazy. It's like, look, we get it. You're not wholesome. Like, okay, we figured it out. Like, you're going way overboard with this. Like, you could have been a lot more subtle about not being this wholesome kid's character anymore. Like, we get it.
Yeah. But it's like someone like decided like, all right, what boxes do I need to check to make this the dark movie? Yeah.
But Jim Carrey's already done plenty of stuff that wasn't comedy.
Yeah.
So I don't see why like him in particular, but I see what you're saying, like with the way that the movie seems like the people in here maybe weren't particularly experienced. But I'm looking at Alessandros Avranas, however you say his name.
Yeah.
Is that
and
that's a Greek name, right?
Possibly, it sounds like it. Yeah. And that was, again, that's just my assumption of feeling that's just the impression that I get. Cue Mighty Boston's horn section, but it was more just because like the emotion from each scene did not hit me the way that movies normally do. I was just I was watching a scene knowing that it was like, oh, I'm supposed to be feeling this, and I'm not. Like,
I hope that I hope that the filter on yours filtering out all of my throat clearing.
Yeah, no, I did. I got it.
Okay, cool. Because I'm just like hacking up a storm over here.
Which I did think sucked too, because honestly, I think the premise is interesting. I think the idea for the story of it being like a cold case that's like literally there's an author kind of dropping secrets for it. Like, I think that's very interesting. So it is one of those, I mean, I know I've said this for multiple movies in the past, but where it's like a cool premise that unfortunately would, in my opinion, was just not executed properly.
I think that there's a lot. Okay, so and like and the reason why I asked you is because like between the two of us, like generally I like the movie. Generally you don't. You said don't watch. I said watch. So like the reason why, because I figured that you'd have more things that you didn't like than you did like.
Yeah.
And also like looking at this guy's work, the director, he hasn't done much. First directorial job was in 2008.
Okay.
And he's done 1, 2, 3, 4 movies since then.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no. He had done 2 more since 2008. One was called Ektos Ton Tihon. I don't know. He directed. It's a show. I guess I butchered the pronunciation of that. He did 1 episode. Then there was a movie called Miss Violence, and then Dark Crimes.
Okay.
And since Dark Crimes in 2017, he did a film called Love Me Not, which
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I am actually. Oh, here's the synopsis for Miss Violence. An unnerving story about a horrid family drama kept behind closed doors.
Okay.
An elaborate facade where appearance can be deceiving and nothing is as it seems. Ooh. Seems on brand for this guy.
But it seemed like one of the feelings that I got, I guess, was just kind of like trying to put myself in the shoes of, it's like, okay, I've before, kicked around the ideas of like, what would it be like to try to shoot a short film or like, try to make some sort of content like that. If I had a great actor like Jim Carrey and tried to write something and put it on screen, it's like, I feel like I would end up with something that felt like this. It's like if I was able to get together like actually get a finished product together, which that probably would not even be able to do that. But if I was, it's like, then yeah, it would be something where it's just not landing and not hitting the way that more polished and more experienced movies tend to me.
We should just save up as much money as it takes to get like 2 hours of like Benicio del Toro's time or something like that, and see if we can just
make a 2-minute short film or something.
Yeah, I have no idea how much that would cost, but it's probably a fortune. But and so like I kind of get like where you're coming from with that it was just like a weirdness, like an awkwardness, and maybe it wasn't engineered, maybe it wasn't intended, but I guess I kind of just made the assumption that it was, and maybe that was not a accurate or wise assumption to make. But that's kind of like what the thing that I liked the most, and I feel like I can give an example of it from other films. In the movie okay, do you remember the character Doug Stamper from House of Cards?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Doug was in recovery.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he hits bottom again and you see him with that, I think it's a bottle of whiskey. And there's a lot of characters that are in recovery that you see them about to relapse and you desperately do not want the character to do it. Like, no, like, don't, man, don't. Like, please don't. And then even though Doug is a complete piece of shit and a bit of a psychopath, you don't know exactly how shitty he is yet when that happens the first time he relapses in the series. But you just don't want them to do it. And the thing that I like the most is that what this movie does is that it's the theme that I like, that it shows you what happens when you flirt a little too close with darkness. It shows what happens to someone, because you don't want Tarek to turn into what he does, but he does do that. And the consequences occur very rapidly for him, like doing what he's done and sort of pushing himself to this level that he never thought that he would get to. And he ends up actually destroying everything and causing immensely more harm than good to everyone involved, especially to himself. So for me, like that's the thing that I like the most about it, is that it sort of shows you the dangers of what happens when you get a little too close to it. I mean, I think that being movie people, I found it very upsetting when Heath Ledger flirted so much with the darker side of things that it more or less drove him fucking crazy. And I'm sure he had other issues happening as well, but it was heartbreaking to me when Heath Ledger passed away. And you look at certain actors, oddly enough, Christian Bale, who was in a movie with him, even Joaquin Phoenix that I talked about Commodus earlier. Like these are all actors that get so heavy into this sort of method stuff that you kind of worry about them a little bit, and they're not even doing anything bad. They're just exploring shitty parts of their brain, or who they are. So like I like that theme about the movie, that you see the perverse fascination that we all have with darkness, and that he almost seems to enjoy listening to the book. Is it Kozlov? Is that his character's name?
Yeah.
He almost enjoys listening to the book. He almost seems to like watching the videos of the things that occurred. It's a fascination that starts out as curiosity and ends up almost like overtaking him in a way.
I do think that's a good point. I do think that is a good like the premise. I think that is interesting, but I think was not executed well in the movie because of the lack of character development. It's like I didn't get to know Tadic enough before that shift, that his transition into darkness did not emotionally register the way that I feel like it should have, or at least I feel like the way the creator would hope that it would. It's like if I were to write that movie again, if I were to like want to portray that idea, I would want that shift in the character to be noticeable and to really be more emotionally striking than like not really getting to know them to begin with. Like, I mean, one thing that Big Dog said in chat earlier that I didn't even like notice, I noticed but forgot to bring up, like I have here in my notes about the no connection to his wife/daughter. I don't even know, did it actually say in the movie specifically that was his wife? Big Dog in chat asked, like, that was his wife? I thought it was his sister.
I just read that. That's actually really funny. Yeah, so it's funny because when most of the time when we're on here and I'm talking about the Alfred Hitchcock ending or leaving gaps in the story, that I get like really irritated with the creators. I'm like, tell me a fucking story. Like that's what I paid you money to do. And thank God I didn't have to pay anything other than my Prime subscription for this. Because I mean, like look, this movie is not the best thing I've ever seen. It's not even in the upper side of mediocre, honestly. But I do think that they shot it pretty well.
Okay, yeah.
I think they had some cool angles. I think that shot of the hallway at the very beginning is really good. I'm
sorry. I have to, while you're saying that, I have to answer your question. You did ask for my favorite thing. Wait, before we get too far past that.
I thought that was it.
No, I was.
I said we could switch. Sorry,
I was just,
least favorite.
My favorite
so
thing.
You have a favorite thing?
Yes, I did. I loved one moment when Tadok swung the light back after making the point and finally, like, it was kind of finally over. I did think that was like a really cool character moment, that it was like, oh, cool. Yeah, like that. Yeah. That was like a really cool moment. I liked that, but I feel like it was kind of a cheap answer, but I was scrolling through my notes and that popped up. I was like, oh yeah, that is one thing I really did like. Like that was a moment that was like, oh shit. Yeah.
That was one of those moments of listening as a probability where you hear someone say what you thought they were going to say instead of actually. So you were like, because I thought you were going to say though. Yeah. So, so that actually was a cool moment. I thought that was a very cool callback. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that means I have to say the thing that I like the least about it.
Yes.
The thing that I liked the least was probably also the thing. Okay, so there are some parts of the movie where I'm glad they didn't develop certain things, and there's other parts where I wish they would have developed more. So there's a whole lot of, and maybe it's to throw the audience off a little bit for the end, but the whole thing with like Was it not? I forget that character's name. Is it Ta? Yeah, Cassia.
Cassia,
That's
okay,
how
yeah.
you say it, right?
Yep.
Her and Kozlov. You don't really understand a lot of that whole dynamic between the two of them, and I kind of feel like that might have been done on purpose to kind of throw us off a little bit. But man, if you got to write it like that to hide the ending from the audience, maybe you kind of suck at writing.
And I mean, are you ready to talk about the ending? Yeah, I mean, you're bringing it up and you're making me want to get there. It is like, I want to know how you felt about it.
Oh, I'm not done raking this movie over the coals yet.
Okay, good.
There's more to what I don't like.
Okay.
But I feel like that in some places they maybe developed characters where they shouldn't and didn't develop them where they should. And like it's the theme of it. Like I like the idea, and I like what I liked was I liked what it made me think. Like what it made me think about being human.
Yeah.
And like the purpose of myself and the kind of inclinations that people have. But I just fucking hated the way that they developed some dumb shit and didn't develop some stuff that mattered. Like that kind of pissed me off. And I do agree with you. This is not the worst writing I've ever seen. It's not like George Lucas bad, but it's still pretty shitty. Some of it was like lacking creativity in some ways. Like I would say that there has been some Arnold Schwarzenegger dialogue that has been more clever than this.
Like I feel almost personally insulted by the fact that Tadek did not look into Kozlov being out of the country the day of the murder for that long. Like, so this is based on true events or whatever, which I know there was the article that was written and there was like, if there was an actual detail of the case that happened, that is insane. If that was writing done for this movie, that is horrible in my opinion. I think that like that is like there is no way you have not looked at your chief suspect's alibi for where he is the night of the incident when you are that deep into a case. That to me was just absolutely insane that after like an hour and 20 minutes of this movie, that was one of the twists. It was like, are you kidding? Like I feel like the eye rolling that I did was painful. I had to take a break and just like make sure that things were centered and I didn't like end up like tearing something, but it hurt.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to like when we talked about the Catfish film where we were kind of wondering, did they maybe know a little bit? And then you kind of get to the end and, you know, like maybe I'm just really unintelligent, but that didn't even cross my mind till just now.
Oh, really?
Because like, here's the thing, like I rarely like mystery films. I usually hate them. But I know that you, with surprise endings, I know you're the type of person that you almost, it's like you don't even do it on purpose. Your brain just starts trying to figure it out.
Usually, yeah.
And like for me, I'm just like, I just want to watch Dwayne Johnson escape from a building that's on fire. Like, you know, I could be really, as far as like that sort of thing, figuring plots out and stuff like that. Like it didn't even cross my mind. But now that I think about it, yeah, but it's the same cheap defense I always use is the plot had to happen.
But I felt twice at the end of the movie. I was like, okay, first of all, they gave me that plot device there, and I was so surprised by, oh man, he wasn't even in the country. And then a few minutes later, the next big twist of like, oh, the murder was Cassia the whole time. Like I don't know. For me, it was just like neither twist, like every other scene in the movie, neither twist emotionally hit me. And I know it wasn't just like I tried to like the movie. It was, I mean, like we talked about last week with her, I wasn't in the best mood going into this movie, but I was like I was giving it a fair chance. You know, it was like if it was a good movie, it would have had me interested. I don't think that it is just like, yeah, that both of the what should have been twists at the end, that should have been surprising moments that I should have cared about as someone who had spent an hour and 20 minutes watching the plot, at all. Like I literally felt, do you remember the last frame of the movie? How just like defeated Jim Carrey looks after Cassia gets done like confessing to him. He's sitting on the couch and he just has this look on his face of like complete dejection. That is exactly how I felt at the end of the movie.
He had a look on his face of complete dead.
Well, see, that's a question people have, and that's why I wonder
He's definitely dead. He is so dead.
Okay, well, I'm surprised you like this, because this to me is like almost like the Inception ending. It is left very ambiguous.
It's not that ambiguous.
I could not find anything confirming it one way or another. I tried to research quite a bit to figure out what the ending was really saying, because I also thought, because she went away to pour the drinks and it had the like close-up scene of them drinking it, that she poisoned him. But there's a big debate as to if that's really what went on or not. It's apparently supposed to just kind of be like, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, I'm seriously about to just like open up Amazon, put this on mute, like this window on mute, and just pull up the last frame, because I actually have to look at this right now. I must see this. Oh my God. I mean, I can't imagine him being anything other than dead right there. And I mean, like the I'm sorry thing, she even like apologizes. What's she apologizing for? Oh, I don't know. Post-mortem killing the guy.
I mean, or also the fact that she made him go through all of that. She was like lying to him the entire time. Like she knew that he was the detective, like the entire time working on a case on Kozlov, while she was like, who he was actually after. I don't know. I mean, I know that, yeah, there are, it is like somewhat up in the air. Yeah, I definitely tried to find something though. If either Jim Carrey or Arvanis would talk about it and kind of confirm if how the end was supposed to be, because that's the feeling that I got too, was that he was dead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, because there's the drink thing that you see immediately before, then the confession's just like, it's just an artsy shot. It's like an artsy like movie shot. She's looking into the camera, addressing the camera, like looking into the eyes of the audience, so to speak. It's a full, like, wholehearted confession. Like, it's like, to me, it's like when it's like when I'm trying to think of like a way that this would even make sense. It's like confessing to someone that you've always loved them while you know they're asleep. You just want to say it, you want them to be there, but you don't really want them to hear it. That, to me, I felt like it was almost like a kind of poetic confession that sometimes, like, I will do or say something strictly for the enjoyment or edification of myself, and there is no one around to be a part of it. Like, I'll make a joke talking to my cat that would be funny to a person, but it's only funny to me. Like, I don't know. Like, I and then the apologizing part, like, I do this for them. Like, it seems like I'm doing this so then that way you won't put me away, and then I can be there for these people. So, like, I'm just going to kill you. Plus, at this point, like, his wife's gone. Like, she basically was like, oh, you take another step and I'm finished.
His sister.
Yeah, his wife's sister, maybe, that we don't actually know. Maybe that was his sister living with his niece there. I don't know. But yeah, it's like, I can't imagine anyone reading that scene any other way. And then what this does is if there's like fan theories about this, then that really does put this in the Inception category because that makes the fans really annoying.
Well, yeah, it's I mean, I definitely, yeah, I don't think it was, even though that's the feeling that I got, I do not think it was very explicitly said at all. I don't know though. Yeah, that is definitely the feeling that I got from it. Either way,
it was really heavily implied.
Either way, I hated the ending though. I felt like, yeah, I felt it was, I did not like it.
I was okay with it. To me, you ever notice, like, did you ever see the movie Layer Cake with Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
Or any other number of like drug dealer movies?
Mm-hmm.
In the vast majority of them, the protagonist, who is usually gone on some adventure of making shitloads of money or having some success in dealing drugs at a high level, they end up usually paying for it at the end. Everyone leaves them. They die. They get killed by a friend. They get killed by their partner. Bad shit happens to them. I kind of viewed this movie as that Tarek is someone who started this out of some principle for justice, that even though someone who is a complete piece of trash got killed, that he thought that that person deserved justice. He had this principle about it. Gregor, the current chief, was corrupt, and he was trying to find a way around that. He was trying to like, take this character, this person that no one really liked anyway, and essentially like, hang them up. And he wanted to do it like, the best way possible. He wanted to be Mr. Justice guy. And then what ends up happening is he falls apart. He ends up doing all the things. He does dirty cop stuff. He tries to coerce a statement. He tries to coerce a confession in very unethical ways. He has sex with a woman who is not his wife in a somewhat violent fashion. I mean, everything. I don't even know what I was trying to address by saying all this stuff, but it's just, to me, it's like, honestly, I have no idea what the hell we were talking about before I went on this little rant here. What were we talking about exactly? There was a point. I was making a point. I can't remember what it was. Shit.
Dark crimes. No. I honestly, I was reading an article about the end. While you were, I'm still trying to figure out if that's supposed to be poison or not. I'm like 100% stuck on that.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same as any other thing. I think that it's whatever the audience perceives.
Mm-hmm.
That it's whatever you got out of it. That since it's a film, it can be either. It can be any. I'm sorry. I was trying to explain the ending. So he goes down this bad road, and he seems to, in some way, have profited from the bad things he did.
Yeah.
At least career-wise. But he loses everything else. So,
but I mean, he also realizes that it was like, also he was trying to do it for justice or for some sort of like moral right that he realizes he didn't even achieve either. He got the wrong guy. Like,
yeah, I mean, and he did try to kind of make that right, but for me, like, I just kind of feel like I see him being dead at the end as him getting it, kind of. And one person who, some may be surprised at this, but one person who believes in the bad guy getting it more than anyone else, Alice Cooper, the rock star. Because he is supposed to be a villain, and in all of his performances, he dies several times on stage. And he even says that the bad guy should always get it in the end. And I think that it kind of blurs things a bit. And I that's why I think him being dead makes sense. Because what else does he have now? All of his principles are gone. Everything that he held dear, he'd betrayed, lost his family, his mother, who he promised wouldn't die alone, and his distraction going after all this shit ends up dying alone. Yeah. By the way, great crying scene.
Yeah, that was.
I think Jim Carrey did that great.
However, unless this was intended, I had completely forgotten about the mother by that point.
I think it was intended.
Okay, if
he forgot about her too.
Yes, but like I feel like that emotionally would have worked better if you would have shown me as a viewer, reminded me that the mother was there alone while showing me that Tadek had forgotten. Like at least one or two scenes during the movie going on, it's like that would have like it would have enforced Tadek's descent into darkness because he's abandoning his loved ones even more. You would be confronting this memory that is his mom is there and he's promised her. Like I feel like so much of that stuff, it's like this could have. What I look for in these type of movies is like emotionally making me feel something that like this movie could have done and didn't, with so many like just little tweaks. It's like it could have hit a little harder, but
yeah. Okay, so it seems that Big Dog here in chat, please excuse me for asking you to type this much, but so if you think he wasn't dead and you think he was incredibly defeated, if you feel like typing it out, I'm curious to know why you think that he was incredibly defeated and not dead. Because I'd like to get someone else's perspective here. Because it looks like I was just like dead, no pun intended. I was dead set on that he really was dead at the end. And if you don't feel like typing it, I get it, no problem.
I was a little at least confused by it and thought it was ambiguous. I went back and watched it a few times. I got the feeling that he was dead, but I was also like, it wasn't solid to me. I was at least like looking back at it, I was like wondering like, okay, well, is that, or is he just like realizing again, like you're saying, not only has he lost completely, well, what was he going there for in the end to begin with then? Like what was
he was just there to apologize, and he also wanted the truth. But he felt bad about coercing her to sign that statement, and then he said the truth is all he had.
See, but and that's what I'm saying is like I also see then if there was no poison in that drink, he is also then just realizing like would he not just be incredibly defeated? Like you're saying, he's lost literally everything. The one connection he still has to anyone in the world is like going back to visit Kazuya to have some sort of wrap up there, and then is determined and like learning that she's actually the person, the murderer that he's pretty much been looking for the entire time.
I just don't see why he would be defeated, because I mean he got the truth. He got what he was looking for, which was the truth. So if that was all that he had, well then he just got it.
There's no justice from there. If also what he wants, if he wants the truth and justice, because there's no like where does he go from there? He knows the truth but cannot do anything about it. Well, yeah, I could see that too. Like just the time investment that he had in the case, the fact that I mean,
that's true.
I don't know. I still think it like either way though. I think you're right. I think that he is supposed to be dead. However, I think that again, it's like everything else in the movie, it didn't solidify that to me. And it's like if there was like I might just be a bad movie watcher with this one, but it's like it did not at all like come across the way that I felt like it would have made sense, I guess.
So he was just felt defeated because of how unbelievably wrong he was.
Yeah.
And he spent all that time and it's funny because you were talking about earlier that like the oh crap.
I was not talking about crap earlier. That is how dare you accuse me of that, sir?
The alibi thing.
Oh yeah, like not even checking where he was. Yeah.
Maybe the character realized that he'd fucked up terribly. That was like something that was so unbelievably like, how did I forget that?
Yeah, that's another thing too, is like, I mean, so we didn't get the character development, but apparently he was like almost gunning for Gregor's police chief job. It's like he was like thinking he's competition for that. Is it like him realizing he was like, oh, here I was thinking that I'm going to be chief of police and I'm not even a good enough detective to figure out where my fucking suspect was on the night of the murder? Like,
yeah. That is true. Yeah, the case did consume him.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like realizing you're not as good at something it's the reason why someone cries when they lose an Olympic race. because they've been training as hard as they could for the last 4 years to get there, and everything they had wasn't enough to win.
And I definitely got the feeling from Tadek through the whole movie that he had something to prove as the character. So it's like I could see that it's like, yeah, like trying to prove something, trying to live up to something, trying to be something, and then realizing you are just falling short by not being able to. Yeah, I mean, he put everything he had into that case and did his best police work, and in the end, caught the wrong dude and had to have literally any answer handed to him. Like he had to have the confession like spelled out for him. Like he in all reality did not solve anything the entire time.
Yeah, he couldn't actually prove it, which I mean, like as usual, like we've talked about this I think recently, that it's really hard to prove anything in court. Like legally, the burden of proof is very high, and he really did kind of go the cheap way about it. That and here's another thing that I didn't think about till just now that I really like about this movie is that we do put a lot of faith, and I do mean the word faith, in this idea that you can have a gut feeling that someone is guilty or that someone is innocent of a particular crime, and that even though you can't prove it in court because of this stupid burden of all this evidence you have to have, that you just know better.
Yeah,
you know that it was them, but
I know OJ was guilty. I know he was.
I mean, okay, yeah. All right. Is there like a portrait piece that someone did on in another episode? I feel like I need to try to smash this can of carbonated water on my head and fail on camera. Well, there's certain things. Maybe that's a poor example, but there's ways that you feel like you really need to. That you think it's stupid that you need to go so far to prove something, but it's part of the reason why I think there's such evidence required that it has to be really compelling.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And even then, people still get imprisoned that didn't necessarily do a crime, or at least there's times where it not only was it wasn't proven in the best way possible, but it even gets disproven later.
Yeah, like DNA exoneration and stuff like that, or
right. And even then, like, I mean, there's times where like DNA. There was a specific point where the swabs that I think it was in Germany, they found the same DNA at like 40 crime scenes. And it was like, must be a serial killer that gets around a lot with a very fast car. But it turns out that like apparently someone at the factory that produced the swabs had screwed up.
Oh, that's interesting.
And gotten like their skin cells or some shit on there.
That's interesting.
Or maybe they just got bored and they were like, man, I want to get this out of my nose or whatever. And
hold on. Let's write a short story where we could write a movie. Serial killer works at the swab factory, puts his skin cells on all the swabs to taint the DNA. So when his DNA is at all of the crime scenes, he has a plausible reason for it to be there, and no one is on his case, even though he's like his DNA is everywhere. He just immediately gets written off.
I guess that lady at the swab factory is the killer.
Yep, exactly.
This is some great police work. I'm gonna drink this now and look defeated or dead. Yeah. Who knows? Like it's just like okay. Well, now that we've kind of talked about the end, this movie is immensely more irritating to me than it was before. And the reason why I gave it a yes is because I really do think that people can figure out within the first minute and a half if they're going to want to watch the movie or not. Yeah. And for me, a lot of it was just like getting in touch with the badness of everybody. This whole idea that everything's always a gray area, that good and bad are not some like there's some group of evil people that we just need to get rid of and everything will be fine. Is that we all have the potential to be shitty. And
I agree with that. I do think those are important ideas to think about. I think, however, I think one thing that I'm trying to get to with like these movies is realizing like, I forget, another movie made me like come to the same conclusion, but it's like, sure, this movie made me think about interesting things. Almost every movie makes me think about interesting things though. Is this the best choice of movie that will make me think those same things. And it's like I feel like there are other movies. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but it's like I feel like there are other movies that just do this better, of exploring the same ideas and still are just better pieces of film. And now, even though I've said that, like, as I don't have one on the top of my head, I wish I did, but that is what I've come to is like I can get something out of pretty much any movie when watching it, but it's like I feel like that just may be like the way my mind works and reaches and looks for something to like think about, where, you know, we even did that, like you said, with The Greasy Strangler. You know, like, that's, if you could do it with that, you could probably do it with any shitty movie.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. I wonder if you could like read the lyrics to the song Fixation on the Darkness by Killswitch Engage and get more
Probably
than this movie actually, as far as like thinking interesting things.
No, I mean, it does make me think, though. I do want to come up with a good replacement then, and hopefully put it like in the comment section. But it is like, because those ideas, that is like a very important concept of like showing you. I mean, it's like basically like the anti-hero idea, Breaking Bad, of, you know, shows like that, where it's like, yeah, like showing you that there is no white and black between like good and evil. It's that we all live in this ambiguous gray area. But it's like, I mean, so yeah, I completely agree that those ideas are important. That is a very cool concept. However, I don't know if I want to tell someone that dark crimes is the way that they should explore that concept.
Oh no, I mean, like, if that's a concept you want to explore, there's better ways. And to be fair, this isn't like, strictly speaking, a good movie.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I mean, I understand. I gave Project Power a yes, so I feel you.
You gave Project Power a yes?
Yes, I did.
Did you really?
I think I did. Yeah, it was like, and my like, through the course of the episode, I realized I shouldn't have. My main argument was like, well, it was free on Netflix, so I didn't really waste that much watching it. But yeah, like, it's so yeah, like I feel like, honestly, probably like Ty from like a year ago may have given this a yes. I'm trying to be more like judgmental, I guess, is really like the best term. But yeah, no, I'm honestly, I'm glad we disagreed on this, though. At least, like, I'm glad you didn't think that it was like the best movie ever. But it is interesting, at least, that you gave it a yes, though. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the movie was like, I just selfishly made it about like how I felt, and maybe there's like somebody else out there that will feel the same way. I don't know. So if you're out there, please let us know in the comments below.
Are you ready for favorite line? You got anything else you need to touch on?
Oh, I want to. I'm gonna cheat on favorite line a little bit, because I would like to read you the only thing in my notes.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right, so under my notes in the general section, I have there, my writing is shit. Thank you for wasting my time. That's all that I put in my notes. And I did that right before the episode. So I did get a cheat. Yeah. I want to hear your favorite line, man. I love hearing favorite lines from a movie that you don't think people should see. That's my favorite.
It's amazing, because like 100%, literally my favorite line. And the reason why is because I feel like this was the writer coming clean with us. My favorite line was, "My writing is shit. Thank you for wasting my time."
Wait, seriously?
I'm 100. Yes, for two reasons. I feel like it was the writer coming clean, and then it's what I wanted to say to the writer at the last half. Thank you for wasting my time. Yeah, that is 100%. I mean, I'll show you right here. It is in my line, or in my notes right here. His favorite line.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite line, so we didn't technically pick the same favorite line, but oh my god, you actually did. That's fucking hilarious. Okay, so my favorite line is my favorite because it's an idea that kind of pisses me off, because I've met several people that think this over the years, but it's something that made me really dislike the intended antagonist a lot, mainly because of how fervently I disagree with many parts of the statement. And I'm going to try really hard to deliver it the same way that he does, but I don't think I can do it. Okay, pile on the cheese. Pile on the cheese. Truth cannot be separate from us. It cannot exist independently of the human mind. Truth is strong, and it will prevail. There's nothing wrong with that, except it isn't true. Truth is what you make it. Reality is perception.
I am 14 and this is deep.
Yeah, bro, that was deep.
Yeah.
Like, I just hate. It's like the basis of like any like epistemological like argument. Like, how do you know that? Like,
Yeah.
it's like it implies this idea that truth cannot be found. There's not some way to try to at least distill it and get close to it. Okay, I digress. But that line made me think, I hope this guy dies at the end of this movie. Like, that was what I was thinking. Like, I really wanted that for the character. Ooh, are you ready for your hints? You get three of them.
I'm excited.
Hints.
What are my choices?
I have a feeling that this one's actually going to be a difficult choice. None of them stand out that much to me, at least. Okay. Do you want a movie that I will pronounce the title of very pretentiously? A movie about someone that everyone loves to hate? Or a movie about a colloquialism that I still don't get? Or a movie that is a colloquialism.
The colloquialism you still don't get. What is that one?
Gone Girl.
Oh, okay.
Apparently that's a verb, and I'm not sure what it means because I've never seen the movie.
That is also Ben Affleck sucking a titty. We finally got there. Yeah. All right.
Okay, I didn't realize that was. All right. All right. Who's even in? You know what? I don't want to know anything else about it other than Ben Affleck. I'm not going to find anything else about it.
So you've never seen it before, right?
Nope, never seen it.
Okay, awesome.
I know nothing about it except for apparently Ben Affleck sucks a titty.
That is true. It is. I guarantee it. So guys, that is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you I looked
Someone
at
have the giggles.
I looked at chat and saw it, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it was he consumed them. The last thing in chat was the case consumed him. But in my mind, we just talked about Ben Affleck sucking a titty and saw he consumed them. And it was like, well, no, he didn't. But like, so yeah. So out of the corner of my eye, that's where I was like, hold on, that's not true. But anyways, I could do this. This is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you're watching this on YouTube and you've enjoyed the discussion, please hit the like button, subscribe to keep up to date, and comment below and tell us how you felt about Dark Crimes.
If you think that Jim Carrey was actually dead at the end, or if you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest on a future episode, please join our Discord. The link is in the description below. We will be live, or maybe dead, next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/TylaTV.
Thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you guys have a great week.